Hey there! Welcome back to another daily dose of anime recaps. In this episode, we're going to be covering the first 5 episodes of the manhwa Virus Girlfriend. In this series, a virus has taken over humanity, turned the infected into zombies. We follow Lo Ming, who discovers he has a unique ability. He can control the dead. However, when he finds out that his girlfriend is turned into a zombie, Ling Mo's world is turned upside down. After he uses his abilities to protect and grow his harem of sexy zombies, things only become more dangerous for Ling. Before we jump into this, make sure to hit the bell button and become a subscriber so you never miss a beat from us. We're first introduced to our protagonist, Ling Mo, as he scales a tower. He's followed by a girl with a floral aura. As they climb higher, she warns him that it has started to smell like blood. After they discover a corpse, they're shocked to hear something screaming. We then see a girl wounded, struggling to stand. Before we can find more, we cut to a different time. We watch over an unknown city. It's overrun by zombies, people who have become infected by some unknown virus. The crowd of zombies walks in one direction, and against the grain, a lone vagabond quietly wanders through them. He ominously drags a pitchfork across the ground and enters an overrun convenience store. A voice seems to be controlling this figure, instructing him to gather specific supplies. We are then finally formally introduced to Ling Mo, who appears to have been controlling the zombies with his mind. We learn about the infectious virus taking over the world and how he found out he could establish a connection between zombies and his mind. After that, we find out what Ling Mo's goal is, to find his lost girlfriend. As Ling Mo walks through the city, he laments the suffering of innocent people. As he does this, he finds the bus his girlfriend normally took. As he climbs inside, he's shocked to be greeted by Lian, his virus girlfriend. She tears through the bus, ripping apart zombies and attacking Ling Mo's puppet zombie. Her eyes glow ominously, and Ling attempts to control her mind by sensing her spirit. In the spirit realm, he senses her, and she's naked and curled up into a ball. However, as he approaches, he's repelled by her ominous aura. He resolves that the only thing that can save her is if her spirit mutates and becomes self-aware, and he pours all his power into this. It seems as though it works, and he effectively controls her spirit. He gives her a red pod, which she places on her lips. After consuming it, she regains control and power of her own spirit. Lian and Ling Mo then travel through a shopping center. Though it seems as though his spiritual connection over her mind weakens when he gets close to kissing her, she momentarily flips and turns back into a zombie, though Ling Mo manages to regain control of her. As they travel through a clothes store, Ling senses her intense need to kill, and so they go together and slaughter zombies to take the red gel pods from their brains. While they're fighting, Ling resolves that he must become stronger so he doesn't lose control of his girlfriend and end up without her again. They find more gel pods, which seems to make them both stronger, and they find new clothes for her. As Ling is undressing her, he thinks about what he could do to her in this state, but somehow he resists. Later on, Ling notices that Yi is hungry. However, she's already full from red gel pods, so he doesn't know what to do. As she gets weaker, he resolves that he has to look after her. He can only do that by staying in cities full of zombies, so this is now their new home. As he assesses his equipment, he says that his knife is not good enough, and so he looks to go to a knife store to upgrade. Someone called Wang Lin is watching the store, and it appears that Ling knows her. She's watching from a distance with another survivor. As Ling approaches, a giant mutant zombie attacks. Ling steps in front of Yi to protect her, and against the odds, and actually wins the advantage against the giant mutant zombie. However, this is short-lived, as it breaks free and is running for Ling and Yi. However, out of nowhere, Yi gets behind him and rips through his chest. Together they destroy the mutant, and at the end, Yi seems to touch his hand. Yi takes a bright green gel pod out of the mutated zombie's brain, though Ling stops her from eating it just yet. He theorizes it has a higher concentration of nutrients, which could knock her out. Instead, he proceeds to take a sword from the knife shop before realizing the floor is hollow. After prying up the floorboards, he finds hidden weapons, takes his loot, and leaves with Yi, though Wang Lin becomes furious as her prized possession is taken. She curses Ling and he starts coughing and sneezing, which he finds strange. He's about to give Yi the green pod and she eats it, though she seems to turn feral shortly after. After being knocked out by Yi, Ling wakes up to find her gone. He traces her and finds her gazing outside. Thinking that her memories have returned, he's disappointed to find out they actually haven't. They ravage the town, helping survivors from the zombies until Ling must go off on his own. He finds a new group of people, Shauna and Shibin. They're impressed at how easily Ling Mo dispatches the zombies. Ling meets Shauna, who is a cute girl with immense power and zombie-slaying abilities. She questions where he got the dagger from and he mentions the knife shop. It seems as though Shauna knows something about Wang Lin. Shauna also tries to become friends with Yi, though Ling conceals the fact that she is a zombie from her. They then decide to travel together to Shauna's hideout. As they get closer, it becomes clear they've rounded up a team of high schoolers. Shibin seems to idolize Ling Mo's strength, though the protagonist tries to keep a distance between them. Ling Mo, or Bro Ling as Shibin likes to call him, is introduced to all of the classmates. However, he doesn't receive a warm welcome as they claim he's just after a free meal. One of the students also accuses Ling Mo of being a coward, and he responds by pinning him up against the wall and slapping him. Shauna makes Lu Zhen, the bully, apologize to Ling. Later on, as Ling and Yi are preparing to leave, Shauna begs them to stay another night, demanding Ling to use his strength to help her with a mysterious problem. Typically, Ling refuses. He says he doesn't want to help her as he's protecting so many pathetic people. Shauna reveals that they left behind many students in their high school, and she wants Ling's help to rescue them. He asks what he'll receive in return, and Shauna responds by revealing he already has received payment, a dagger made by Shauna's own cousin, Wang Lin. As they inform the other survivors of the plan, they volunteer to join in the rescue mission. However, Ling doesn't want too many people without any fighting ability to join, as they'll only slow down the mission. They prepare to sleep for the night, and Shauna suggests that Yi should sleep with the girls overnight. Ling agrees and keeps controlling her with his mind. Shauna and Yi are alone in the room, and Shauna wonders if Yi will sleep with her clothes on. It seems as though Shauna is flirting with Yi, and goes as far as sitting on top of her with their cleavages rubbing against each other. Shauna puts Yi's hand on her breast, and Ling Mo then decides to let Yi play along. Using Yi's body, Ling Mo pins Shauna down and begins to undress her. At this point, Shauna decides to stop and they lay down together after Yi strips her naked. The next morning, the team is ready to go and rescue the other classmates. They use random household objects as weapons and they actually cooperate very well. Ling realizes that if Shauna and she were alone, they would have fared really well in the apocalypse. As they're fighting, Ling Mo realizes that Yi is only interested in eating the gels from mutant zombies, and also considers that they only form in areas of concentrated zombies. However, as he's thinking, one of the weak students gets pulled away by a zombie and is killed. Ling is too late to save him. In the aftermath of the killing, Shauna uses her strength to get the survivors to keep moving, though it seems the traitorous Wang Chen and Lu Zhen are hatching a plot to let people die, so their chances of survival increase. As they approach a building, they realize there are huge crowds around it. Ling volunteers to draw them away, and the other hide away. He gets inside and draws zombies close. He attaches loads of phones to their necks and sends them outside with music blasting loudly. The zombies run through the streets and gather a huge crowd, which gives Shauna and the survivors a chance to run through. However, their plan seems to fail slightly. The huge crowd of zombies eventually chases the survivors into a hospital, and they use the revolving doors to filter them in so they can kill them one by one. Meanwhile, Wang Cheng kills a survivor by throwing him to the zombies, and as another is about to be killed, Yi saves her. It seems as though Ling is losing some of his control over Yi, though they continue to fight on. They also realize two other survivors must be dead as they have disappeared. Shauna begins to falter, feeling guilt, though Ling Mo comforts her. It seems they have a slight connection. One of the survivors realizes Wang Cheng is evil and goes to attack him, though Shauna stops him. It seems Ling clocks onto Wang's treacherous nature and glares at him intimidatingly. They continue to move, and the violent roar of a mutant zombie reverberates through a shopping center. They don't hear it, and they prepare to enter the shopping center to find supplies. They split up, perhaps foolishly. After they enter, Ling has the feeling that someone is spying on them. However, his thoughts are sidetracked after Yi becomes ravenous for the gel of a mutant. Just then, one of the survivors screams out for help. Someone is being eaten by a mutant zombie, while Lu Zhen, one of the bullies, watches on. The mutant zombie then chases him, though Ling and Yi arrive just in time. An epic fight ensues, and it seems this mutant zombie is much stronger than the others. It uses its incredible strength to overcome them, though Ling unleashes Yi onto it. Together they kill it, and Yi consumes the green gel from the zombie's skull. Shauna then rushes to the scene and realizes she must put the infected survivor out of his misery. Meanwhile, Ling powers up even more, though Lu Zhen is resentful of him. However, Shauna realizes that Ling is hiding something, though she doesn't know what. Ben then tells the group some harrowing news. Lu Zhen has been bitten. They plan to leave him behind and return for him if he hasn't turned into a zombie at a later time. They leave him supplies, and Shauna is clearly sad to leave him behind, strangely. Ling and Lu exchange final glances, and it's clear that the bully hates Ling. Our protagonist theorizes that Lu could turn into a mutant zombie as he was bitten by one. After this, they finally reach the high school. At this point, Ling realizes that there could be hordes of mutant zombies inside, so he parts ways with Shauna to focus on his priority. Yi begins to turn ravenous for green gels, so she runs ahead. As Ling expected, a mutant zombie appears, and he fights it with the help of Yi Lian. However, it seems as though this mutant is much stronger than others. They struggle, but eventually they dispatch it. After killing it, Yi rips out the gel from its brain, though this one is different. It has an emerald color, where the others had a light green color. Ling stops her from eating it just yet, and they continue ripping apart zombies. Eventually, they amass 7 gel pods, and he eventually realizes Yi could evolve further with more power. The only drawback is that he isn't getting any stronger at the moment. It needs a way for him to increase in physicality. As he's tired, he gets Yi to help him up. However, as she bends over, her breasts brush up against him. He uses all of his self-control not to get too excited. Later on, Shauna and the other survivors approach their former classroom. The survivors begin to chatter, realizing that after all this time, their classmates probably starved to death. Regardless, Shauna wants to fulfill her promise. She knocks on the door and hears talking inside. She opens it, and their teacher Wang is inside. There were over 20 survivors before, but inside there's only a few left, and Shauna and Ben realize they began eating each other just like the zombies. She kicks teacher Wang in the face and tells the cannibal survivors to survive on their own. Furious, they move to attack her, though she decapitates them for their crimes. We return to Ling and Yi, who are confused at the lack of mutant zombies. There's a huge hole in the window, and they think that the mutant zombies must have escaped by jumping. Meanwhile, one of the cannibals begs for their life, though Shauna shows them the same amount of mercy they showed their victims, which was none. The other survivors flock to her, though a mutant zombie appears out of nowhere and rips a hole through one of them. Shauna is nearly attacked, though Wang Cheng throws a survivor in front of her to protect her, and in turn himself. Shauna then kills the mutant zombie with a giant sword strike through her breast. The group continues moving until Lu Zhen jumps from out of nowhere. Half man and half zombie, he kidnaps Shauna before kneeing Ben in the chest. He sends Ben to look for Ling, using Shauna as hostage. Ben and Wang go to fight Ling, though they're nearly killed by zombies. Ling arrives at the right moment and saves them, though Shauna's absence worries him. They tell Ling what happened, and they move to go and rescue her. Ling is interested in Lu Zhen's zombie-human hybridity and thinks that he could help Yi regain her memories. Outside, they see a group of zombies eating other zombies and becoming stronger. They kill them all, and Yi shows off her powers once again. They finally find where Lu is holding Shauna and are worried by all the blood. Eventually, Lu has the opportunity to confront his nemesis. They argue momentarily, and Lu says she will only let Shauna go if Ling cuts off the arm he used to slap Lu with. Ling refuses and attacks Lu with his knife. The mutant hybrid uses his new strength to dodge the attack, though Ling is relentless. Lu proclaims he will not tell them where Shauna is, so Ling does this sensible thing and beheads him. Eventually, Ling manages to find Shauna, who's been tied up. However, when they wake her, they realize something terrible has happened. Ling thinks that seeing as Lu bit her, the infection might be less dangerous. They prepare to leave, though Shauna picks up a knife and goes to kill herself. Heroically, Yi stops her from doing this, but it's too late as her transformation has already begun. She comes close to Ling and they look as though they could kiss. Before Yi pins her down, Ling realizes what he has to do, and he gives her one of the gel pods they collected before. Shauna, whose transformation is still underway, is demanding the gel pods instinctively, as they could stop her from becoming a zombie. Ling orders Ben and Wang to leave. When they're gone, Ling places a gel pod on her tongue. It seems to work, though she begs Ling for more. Ling places another in her mouth and she drools in anticipation. Yi is caressing Shauna sensually when Wang bursts in. The loud sounds seem to have attracted zombies, so they need to escape. Yi carries Shauna in her arms and Ben runs back to fetch something. He emerges with Shauna's prized sword and they run away. They get back to their hideout and Yi puts Shauna down in a bedroom. However, Shauna snaps and slaps Yi across the face. Ling orders everyone away as something dangerous looks to happen. It's just Shauna, Ling, and Yi in the room, and Shauna jumps to attack them both. Outside, Wang and Ben are listening in, though they can't hear anything. They ask to enter, however, Ling forbids them. Meanwhile, Yi is pinning Shauna down once again, placing herself between her spread legs. Ling then uses his powers to try and control her mind, and she begins to speak. Words soon become screams as the pain increases. Yi holds her down and Ling tries to approach her in the spirit realm. Inside her mind, Ling realizes she has two types of energy inside her soul, suggesting that she could have schizophrenia. Regardless, he uses his power to mutate her spirit and she begins to calm down. They emerge from the spirit realm and Yi and Shauna are next to each other, while Ling is passed out on the floor. Ben then enters and runs to Shauna, though her zombie instinct kicks in. Ling manages to control her to stop her from attacking Ben. However, he admits he's not powerful enough to control Shauna and Yi. Later that night, Ling gives Shauna's sword to her, and she proves that she still has some connection to her human self. Ling is woken up in the morning by Wang, who claims there are human survivors outside. They're led by a cool guy with red hair, and Ling watches this new survivor team from their hideout. They defeat the zombies using coordinated teamwork, though they soon head to Ling's new hideout. Inside, their leader, Li Yu, herds them into a room, though a few of them are killed by zombies. Ling realizes they have to flee the new hideout as there's almost 30 zombies making their way into it. Shauna and Yi jump out of the window gracefully, and together they slaughter a few zombies outside. The others, Ling, Ben, and Wang, scale the walls of the building and reach the ground level. They all finally escape, though the herd of zombies chases after them. Outside, they fight zombies when Li Yu spots them. He realizes they're strong and decides to help them out. He invited them to return to their camp with them, and Ling realizes this could be a good opportunity to get rid of Wang and Ben. Ling then puts a kitty hat on Shauna to make her look cute and disguise her. They reach Ginkgo community and realize how well organized and structured it is. They have people counting losses and supplies, and even people keeping constant lookout over the place. Ling realizes Li Yu is no ordinary man. Later on, Li introduces Ling to his sister, Wang Lin. Wang recognizes her cousin, Shauna, though is shocked that she is speechless. Wang Lin doesn't recognize Ling and Yi, despite them being her neighbor for years. Then, finally, he recognizes Ling as the guy who stole her prized possession, the dagger. Ling tries to argue, however Lin hears none of it. As they're quarreling, a huge man enters the room. It's the boss of the camp, Song-tian. He recognizes Ling and Yi and offers his hospitality to them both. Lin still wants her dagger back and Song-tian offers to mediate the dispute. Ling argues back, saying that their hideout was ruined by survivors from Ginkgo community, so Song-tian allows them to keep it. Lin is furious at this and says she will take it back on her own. She tries to hit Ling before he threatens her and storms out. Later on, Song-tian offers Ling to join their community. Knowing that Yi and Shauna are both mutant zombies, he refuses, though finally the treacherous Wang decides to abandon them. Ling then has to convince Ben, but eventually he joins the new group too. Ling is about to leave the camp, though Ben runs up to him and demands he look after Shauna, and that one day after he's stronger they'll both meet again. Ling leaves and lets Ben hang on to his shreds of hope. Meanwhile, Lin is watching on from the building and resolves that she'll get her dagger back. Later on, Ling and his harem of zombies fight more zombies, and Ling realizes how little control he has over Shauna. It seems as though Yi has become ravenously hungry, begging for more food, so Ling goes to give her the last gel pods. Though, mysteriously, they seem to have fused together. As Shauna is standing over Ling, he contemplates whether or not to give them the fused gel pods. He snaps it in half, and she eats it willingly. After she eats it, something seems to change inside of her, and Shauna seems to calm down slightly. However, Ling realizes he could have lost control if this continued. Regardless, he feeds Yi the other pod and he prepares for the pain of mutation. After she eats it, the reaction is slightly different. When he begins to lose control, he realizes something shocking. He's turning into a zombie. He needs to do something to control himself, anything, so he looks to Yi Lian. He hugs her before asking her to forgive him, and then he kisses her. The kiss turns into something else, and Ling begins to sweat. Neither of them can control themselves, and they pounce to the floor together. However, before things go further, Ling questions whether or not the virus can be spread by saliva, so he stops. He questions if he's going to lose his consciousness, so hugs Yi Lian in anticipation. They awake the next day still hugging each other. Luckily, Ling is not infected, meaning that the saliva is not infectious, and he can kiss Yi as much as he'd like. Yi then does something surprising and caresses Ling's face. This means that the gel pods restore consciousness bit by bit. Ling also decides to check how Yi's powers have changed since before, and he tests her. The result of the test makes Ling think that her evolution is tightly linked to his, so he tests out his own power. In doing so, he accidentally grabs Shauna's breast and she wakes up. It seems as though that in touching her sexually, Shauna is stimulated and begins to slowly regain her consciousness. After realizing that perhaps there are certain ways to remind Shauna and Yi of their memories through physical stimulation, Ling celebrates by cracking open some beers. Before he can fully relax, he hears something outside. He goes to investigate and is shocked at what he sees. A cute zombie girl attacks other zombies, though Ling soon realizes that something isn't quite right. She's being attacked by other zombies. Ling realizes that it's possibly her wounded arm that attracts them, and she seems to be talking. As the girl is attacked more, Ling realizes how strong of a fighter she is. However, as he's watching on with what seems like lust in his eyes, Shauna creeps up on him. It seems she's attracted to what's happening outside, which makes even more sense when a zombie outside transforms into a mutant zombie. Ling sends Yi to retrieve it, and she is successful. They tie it down and prepare to perform an autopsy on the zombie. He realizes that the gels contain the virus and the zombies are attracted to the virus, hence why they attack each other. Ling also realizes through the autopsy that Shauna and Yi only have a small amount of virus in them, and eventually they can have their consciousness fully restored. They discard the zombie corpse and go ahead and search the town for clean clothes after theirs were dirtied. Ling dresses Yi up in a cute new dress, and dresses Shauna up in a cat-themed dress. However, before they can enjoy their new outfits, Ling realizes there might be trouble abound. Lin, Chang, and Li appear, and Ling realizes that Chang might have written out that Shauna turned into a zombie. It seems as though the Ginkgo community are searching for Ling, likely to recover Shauna. Ling runs away with Shauna, and Yi seems to bait the others into following. Meanwhile, Lin is attacked by a zombie, though we soon realize it's Ling's controlling it. Lin and Li fight off the zombie, though they were shocked when it began to retreat. In the aftermath of the fight, they realize that Wang Cheng is missing. Li and Lin have an argument about whether or not to continue or retreat, though Lin is victorious and they split up. In their separation from each other, they're both attacked by the zombie who sneaks up on them. Lin passes out before anything bad happens, and Ling relinquishes control of the zombies. He confronts her strangely and wakes her gently. He pretends to have saved her, though in reality he was the perpetrator. In return, she offers him the dagger. However, Ling refuses and says that it is already his. Now he wants her knife. Lin goes to Shauna and demands her help. However, Ling quickly becomes protective over the newest member of his harem. He goes as far as slapping her for being rude and threatens her further. He then says that as her new brother-in-law, he has a right to. After asking Lin how she found him, she reveals that she has a superpower. Her ability is marking people by interacting with them and then tracing them like that. However, she can't seem to improve her powers at all. Lin is soon about to leave, though she has one last thing to do. She gives Shauna a jade pendant, an heirloom of the Wang family. Shauna then questions if Ling wanted to kill Lin just then, and she can't quite understand why he wanted that. Ling then tells Shauna that if she wants to show him affection, she can pinch his face. She is only allowed to kiss him, and they do exactly that. Ling teaches Shauna how to kiss using her tongue. Then he demonstrates with Yi, who is feeling left out. However, when he kisses her, his heart begins to pound, and he has the same visceral feeling as before. It seems as though kissing the girls in his harem encourages him to grow stronger, and he realizes the saliva of his zombie girlfriends actually make him stronger. Ling then resolves to kill Chang, and later on he eats noodles. It's the first bowl he's eaten since the apocalypse that actually used hot water. It seems to provoke an intense emotional reaction within him, and he uses this time to think about Shauna and Yi. Afterwards, he thinks about how zombies can use weapons, and then gives Lin's wife to Yi, who wields it very gracefully. In order to celebrate, he decides that tonight he needs to sleep with Yi. Later on, he's awoken by Shauna and Yi sneaking around him, saying they want to bite him. Later on, they're wandering around town gathering supplies when they stumble upon a mall with plenty of infected, the perfect breeding ground for mutant zombies. However, Ling is shocked when he realizes neither Yi or Shauna are reacting to any mutants, leading him to think that there are none. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Shauna is stolen from Ling and Yi by a mysterious figure. A strange and slender figure sits on top of Shauna before Ling's girlfriend kicks her away. Lian steps in to assist and holds the stranger at knife point, though they somehow manage to slip away. Ling realizes how much danger they are in and orders his harem to stand down. Worried about what could happen, Ling steps up. He thinks she could be some sort of advanced zombie, and he even tries to control her. However, it's fruitless. She's too strong. In a reversal of roles, she pins Ling down to the floor and mounts him. Repeatedly, he hits her until he uses Yi and Shauna to attack her from behind. They cut off both her arms and Ling kicks her away. They kill her and take her gel before fleeing the oncoming zombie horde. Back at their hideout, Shauna and Yi patch up Ling. He realizes that he needs to evolve his harem more so they become as powerful as the advanced zombie. Before he's about to feed Shauna and Yi the gel pod, he realizes that he's also craving it. Meanwhile, Shauna and Yi are both hungry for gel pods and they beg him for it. However, Shauna refuses to eat it and she places part of hers directly into Yi's mouth. They both begin to evolve and Ling starts to feel the pressure. Nearly 3 days later, they're finished evolving. Shauna then confronts Ling after he groped and manhandled her. Then Shauna admits that she's not really a human anymore. Ling considers why Shauna can't really remember everything from her past, and that perhaps there's some reason she's repressing her human memories. Then they all head to a new destination, College Town. They arrive and Ling uses a zombie to scout the town. Ling is repulsed by the smell of rotten corpses, though it seems Shauna isn't. She then pretends that she doesn't like it to please him. He then tells her that he will never hate her. However, as they're talking, Ling realizes his puppet zombie had been killed. They go and check it out and realize the zombie had been killed by a human being, which rings alarm bells for them all. They find an ugly zombie and use it as bait, sends it stumbling through town and eventually finds the culprit. The survivor, a blonde male, decides to put up a fight against Ling. The survivor uses cheap tricks such as throwing chili powder at Ling, and it seems to work. However, Shauna overcomes the survivor and pushes him while Yi looks after Ling tenderly. Afterwards, they begin to talk. The survivor claims he was just defending himself as though they were bandits. Ling then realizes he must live there and that he's hiding something. Lin then heads off to find whatever this guy is hiding, and Yi Lian is tasked with watching over the stranger. However, he soon gives in and agrees to show Ling what his secrets are. They find the secret storage room and begin to rummage around until they eventually find what the stranger was hiding. A cute girl jumps out of a cupboard and attacks Ling. We find out the stranger's name, Shi Ben. Ling and the new girl begin to fight, though Ling outmatches her severely. He also realizes he can slightly control human beings, though not as well as he can do to zombies. He holds her at knife point, then Shauna calls him a villain. They discuss what's happening and eventually they all decide to stand down, glossing it over as a misunderstanding. Ling also realizes that the new girl has a superpower just like his own. She calls it bullet time, which enhances her reaction speeds. Later on, they all head back to Shi Ben's hideout, and Ling demands repayment for the chili powder attack. The girl refuses, citing Shi Ben's beating as a payment. The girl also seems to recognize Yi from their university days, and we find out that Yi was the campus belle. We finally learn her name, Lin Luan Q. It also becomes clear that they have had some bad encounters with others, perhaps evil survivors. The two new survivors are shocked that Ling, Yi, and Shauna are headed into ex-university town and not away from it. Their reaction seems to reveal something terrible had happened there. She and Lin offer alternative solutions. However, Ling is tireless in his resolve and says he will go anyway. We then find out that Lin was in a self-rescue team in the town, and that she has bounds of knowledge regarding whatever happened. Ling uses this as a bargaining chip. She tells him there are 30,000 zombies and only 3,000 survivors remaining, which tells him that there are plenty of mutant zombies for his harem to feast on. It also seems as though they are very familiar with the routes around the city, which is another huge benefit. Shockingly, Lin then volunteers to join Ling on his expedition. She is outraged and tries to stop her, though her degenerative disease means she hasn't got much time left, and she wants that to be how she dies. She also reveals that she wants to find medicine on campus, which is part of her reasoning for wanting to join them. Ling agrees, though if she behaves recklessly, his harem must take priority. Later on, Ling and Lin discuss the possibility of others having superpowers. This reminds our protagonist of Wang Lin. Lin reveals she knows of another human with powers, though he's not a kind person at all. Shi Ben then takes up the first shift on watch duty, and it seems like Ling is planning something for him. Later on, Shauna remembers the taste of wine and drinks some. Then, against Ling's wishes, Shauna gets Yi drunk too. Very soon after that, Ling senses something seductive. Together, Yi and Shauna come on to Ling, and you can imagine what happens next. Later on, they arrive outside the campus walls, unsure about what to do. Ling turns to his new guide, Lin. She says they have to climb over the campus walls, and it's the only safe route inside. Then, Lin asks Ling to return Shi's precious dagger to him. Ling agrees, though he still uses the opportunity to belittle Shi, and he throws it at him. Lin has to catch it with her powers so it doesn't cut and infect him, further fueling the tension between the two men. Before anything else happens, the zombies start to appear. Ling, Yi, and Shauna, like before, slaughter the zombies with ease. Lin watches on and realizes how awesome our hero is. Perhaps she plans to join the harem one day. Lin and Ling praise each other, and there does seem to be a mutual connection between them. They finally reach their entry point into the campus and they prepare to infiltrate. As Lin is climbing over, she falls, though Ling is there to catch her. She sees this, and it's clear he becomes jealous. After scaling the wall, they're faced with a new challenge, a dark forest. Lin claims it will take 7 to 8 minutes for them to pass through, and they only have to go straight. Meanwhile, it seems that Shauna's consciousness is beginning to return, and she has some command over Lin. However, it seems that the newly formed gang had gotten quite complacent as they're ambushed by a zombie. Lin uses her special abilities to slaughter it, driving a knife deep into its heart. However, her strength prevented her from actually killing it. It strikes her and is about to kill her before a dagger flies through the zombie's head. Yi was responsible for saving Lin's life, and Shi Ben goes and checks if Lin is okay. However, before they can start moving again, Shi Ben recognizes the dead zombie. He screams in surprise. However, Ling quickly slaps him to shut up. Lin then goes ahead and scolds him too. Afterwards, Lin is contemplating how they abandoned the now dead zombie before, and Ling reminds her that this is the apocalypse and you have to do anything to survive. Not too long after this, a small horde of zombies appears, and the team splits into 2 splinter cells. Ling, Yi, and Shauna split off while Lin and Shi deal with the rest of the zombies. She seems to struggle slightly, and even appears slightly resentful that Ling can defeat the zombies so easily. Lin tells Shi not to get distracted so easily, and that Ling's special ability is the only reason he can do this. She then fixates on this fact and contemplates how powerful he could be if he had a power like this. They finally finish off the rest of the zombies, and Ling tells Lin that they should head to the clinic first to get her medicine. She asks if he'll protect them against the horde, and nobly he agrees. However, internally, he's only thinking that there's going to be many mutants for him and his harem to feast on. As the clinic is so far away, Lin suggests that they will have to take refuge overnight in a local taekwondo gym. Ling agrees with this plan, and Lin eventually guides them there. However, she also reveals that there's an incredibly powerful monster in the garden nearby, and many survivors were killed there. Clearly influenced by this story, Ling declares he must go and kill it. Lin volunteers to join him, which shocks and angers Shi, who only wants to protect his crush. Ultimately, they all head to the location of the mutant zombie. They're suddenly hyper-alert and anxious that they could be attacked at any moment, and Lin makes sure to keep her ability handy. Aware that it's coming, they prepare to fight. However, what they see next is shocking and ugly. It's a huge fat girl turned into a mutant zombie. Lin then reveals that it only attacks handsome boys, and Ling is suddenly aghast. Ironically, Shi congratulates Ling on another addition to his harem. Yi and Shauna both react violently to this comment and stamp on Ling's feet. The fat mutant charges at Ling, though Yi and Shauna use teamwork to slap her away. Triumphantly, they turn their backs on the giant, which they defeat in a single sassy attack. Shauna then digs out the gels from the giant's head, and Ling reveals to the new team members that they've killed stronger mutants before. This only makes Shi feel even more inadequate, and Lin is impressed even more. They carry on moving, arriving at the gymnasium not long after. They look for the classroom to hole up in, and on the way, Lin and Ling share another flirty moment together, building their budding relationship even more. However, when they find the classroom, they hear familiar voices inside. She recognizes them as his former classmates and teacher, and they all enter the room together. She tells his classmates of their story and the troubles they went through to arrive here. They then see Yi and recognize her as the campus belle. She then introduces Ling to his friend, Zhu Ka. He tells Zhu everything, which angers Ling. He then schemes to leave Shi behind as he's such a coward. Zhu then considers which of the group is the leader, and he checks out Yi and Shauna. Ling then tells him to stop, and Shi reveals he's dating them both. Ling then refuses to stay with them all in this room, and Lin takes him to another place. They leave Shi behind, and he tells Zhu even more about him. It seems that Xi's hatred for Ling is only growing, and the tension too. Zhu then tells Xi to find a good time later to come and find him, and a potential plot looks as though it could hatch. Could Zhu be the other super-powered man that Lin was talking about? The rest of the survivors in Zhu's classroom then beg for more food, and he reveals a darker side to himself. He screams how weak Ling is, and that they are well stocked with treasure, food, and perhaps most importantly, weapons. He then hatches a plot to rob the heroes using a cute girl as bait. He strips her clothes down and throws her on the floor. He then tells the guys in the room to attack her and have sex with her. Zhu even convinces his teacher to join in on the gang rape, and we see just how evil these survivors are. Elsewhere, Ling feeds Yi and Shauna more gels, and while his fingers are in their mouths, they bite him gently. Xi then returns, not knowing what Zhu and his evil followers had just done. After this, he has a little argument with Lin, though he apologizes soon after. He praises him for everything he's taught him. He praises her for everything she's taught and shown him, and even says that he owes his life to her. He transforms his anger to resentment for Ling, though Lin hopes that he doesn't go too far. Later on, we find out that Zhu and his evil followers killed the girl they were raping. Their evil plot advances similarly to Xi's, who now stands above the sleeping Ling Mo with his dagger. He contemplates whether or not to attack him. Ultimately, he decides against it, mainly as he's scared about Yi and Shauna waking up and killing him. He leaves and decides to do it later. However, it turns out that Ling has been awake through the whole ordeal and now knows exactly what she is planning. She then meets up with Zhu, and Zhu reveals that he wants to help Xi out by getting revenge on Ling. Neither of them really know what the other's intentions are, though they're both seeking the same results. Zhu then asks Xi if Ling and his zombie girlfriend harem really returned from the red light district, and Xi confirms this. Zhu then belittles Xi for being afraid of Ling, though Xi realizes he's provoking him intentionally. Zhu then reveals that he wants to rob Ling Mo and take his weapons, resources, and supplies. Xi realizes how badly this will hurt Lin, and he refuses. However, Zhu is persuasive, and eventually he reveals that Ling has a special ability. Zhu then reveals he has another favor to ask of Xi. It turns out the favor isn't really a favor at all, and he murders his friend in cold blood. Before he can get away with it, a strange figure appears from the darkness. To Zhu's surprise, it's the last person he wants to see right now, Ling Mo. Before the fight can really get started, Ling Mo wipes Zhu's cowardly body around using his super ability. Furious, embarrassed, and enraged, Zhu starts slashing back without any precision. His attacks are violent and Ling can easily dodge them. However, the protagonist acknowledges how difficult it is to control Zhu with his power. It seems to consume a lot of Ling's natural energy, which he needs to activate as super control. The fight seems evenly matched until Zhu makes a fatal mistake. He threatens to rape Yi, and immediately, Ling is enraged. As you'd expect from the protagonist, who clearly is very protective and caring for Yi and the rest of his harem, he doesn't let this comment slide. Something inherently evil erupts inside Ling, and with a single slash, he shreds Zhu's right arm so it is completely useless. He then throws Xi's virus-soaked dagger straight into Zhu's gut, not killing him instantly, though letting the infection and wounds overcome him. Zhu begins to turn into a zombie much faster than we expected, and within moments his skin turns hard and purple. It's at this point that Ling uses his powers once again and turns the cowardly rapist into one of his own slaves. We then turn our attention to Zhu's former classmates, who are worried that their evil leader has yet to return. When they hear a knock at the door and they realize it's Zhu, they ask him questions such as when they should attack Ling and how long will they survive with their new supplies. However, before they even realize what's happening, Zhu begins to attack them with a sharpened steel pipe. Zhu crushes their heads together like melons and continues slaughtering them until they're all finished. Ling then steps in and kills Zhu's zombie corpse, and with that, he's finished. Later on, Ling returns to his harem and informs Lin that she is now dead and that Zhu killed him. She says her final goodbyes to Xi, and they move on together as a group. They continue following Ling, and she shows off how far away the clinic is. She even informs them that there's likely going to be many infected at the clinic, and that it's going to be very dangerous. Ling and Yi move off together to scout it out, while Shauna stays behind with Lin, jumping into a bush with her to hide. Ling and Yi shred apart zombies inside the clinic when they return. It seems as though they're hiding something from Lin, which is why Shauna held her down so violently. Ling then returns and Lin demands answers. Ling claims that Yi lost her memories, which is why she doesn't know her way around the university. However, before any real answers are shared, Lin collapses. Something's obviously wrong, which is why she's come to the clinic in the first place. She undresses and they find a deep wound on her arm. It seems this doesn't faze Ling, who is determined to continue with her. Perhaps he knows that eventually she will turn and join his harem. However, before they can even start moving, Lin loses consciousness. In a rush, Ling carries her while Yi and Shauna fight off zombies. Eventually, they find the clinic. Heroically, Ling kicks down the doors and lays Lin to rest in a bed. He then tells Yi and Shauna to guard the door while he performs surgery. Lin asks if he's ever done surgery before, and he responds that he's stitched torn socks before, which doesn't inspire Lin with much hope. Ling performs the surgery on Lin, and she seems to waver in and out of consciousness. The surgery seems to have been an immediate procedure, and it's clear that it flusters Lin quite a bit. Regardless, Ling manages to keep his composure and finish off the surgery. Eventually, Ling heads through the clinic looking for more supplies. As he's looking, he realizes that all the supplies have been looted. However, before he can really investigate, two survivors jump out and try to attack him. Realizing there's no zombies, they all surrender. Ling interrogates them and demands to know why they're here. It turns out they're more innocent than they seem, and that they were running away from zombies and hiding. Ling then decides to let them go as they're harmless, though one of them foolishly mentions the severe lack of medicine. He, Pang Pang, with blonde hair, is the one who revealed this, and the other scolds him for it. It turns out that they have some special reason to hoard the medicine, though they don't tell Ling Mo right away. Ling realizes they're the only ones with the medicine and decides to stop them from leaving. Clearly afraid, they begin to lie about knowing where the medicine is. Ling then offers to trade instant noodles with the two idiot survivors, and they attempt to decide what is the best plan of action. He Ping Pang also reveals that their other classmate survivors are horrible people, and that they're not going to feed them when they return. Ling realizes this and thinks to use it to his advantage. He promises to give them all of his food in return for the medicine, and point them in the direction of a reliable group of survivors, likely the Ginkgo community from before. However, they refuse. For what reason, Ling Mo has no idea. Until the blonde idiot reveals the real reason. They've been coerced into collecting supplies by evil people who are holding pregnant women and young girls hostage. Ling admires their heroism, and perhaps sees himself slightly. They then reveal that the evil people are led by a man with a special ability, which entices Ling Mo even more. Perhaps to test their resolve, he threatens to rob them. However, their courage is unwavering, and they prepare to fight back. Ling steps down and admires them. He then gives them the advice to be more discreet and not show all their cards at once. However, before they can do anything, Shauna appears. Mistakenly thinking the two idiots are zombies, she attacks them, though Ling Mo has to step in and save them. After this, they contemplate if Ling is stronger than the evil man with abilities, and if they could potentially defeat them with Ling and his sexy harem's assistance. Later on, Ling scolds Shauna for acting without his permission. As he's doing so, Lin wakes up. Ling Mo informs her that they're all in a clinic while Yi tends to her. It seems as though the surgery Ling performed on Lin is helping her to recover. He then informs his harem that he's met two new survivors who could potentially be the answer to all of their problems. Later on, the two idiot survivors meet up with Ling and reveal the name of the evil man with powers, Wei Junyan. At the mention of his name, Lin is petrified. They explain how the man is no longer human and that he has the ability to kill in mere seconds. It seems as though Ling's next target will be this ruthless killer. Though you're going to have to find out what happens next in the installment of Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. We hope you've enjoyed this recap of the manhwa Virus Girlfriend. And make sure to like and subscribe to catch the next episode as soon as it releases.